how to communicate with them, like, efficiently, you are supposed to learn the different style as well. So, DJ Rams, would you like to say hi to everyone?
All right, I am ready. It's some technical problems because we have 3 keyboard here, and I am just tired. How about
You're
that?
just tired.
Yeah. So let's not blame the keyboard. The keyboard had nothing to do with this. Okay. I am just tired. We say that. I don't want to blame myself too. But yes, hello everybody. It's October 2nd, and hope you guys are doing great out there and paying all your bills. I guess it's the end of the month. It's the end of the month. I have to remind myself too. Hey, don't forget to pay bills, and that's how it is. Anyways, I'm with 2 beautiful ladies, as always, Bumi and Mon.
Monique.
It's like
It's just like,
Monique.
wait a second. Oh, Monique.
it's Monique, not Mon.
Should I hold a sign like for most of the times?
Hello, my name sticker. Hello, my name is Mon. For the first couple
it's
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're back with today's, as always, the topic for life skill, and we have communication style, like what Bumi said.
Yes.
So, do you want to dive into that, or you want to, I just kind of want to talk about the weight loss thing first. I'm just kidding. Let's go. Let's get on to this.
It's my main goal at the beginning, at the moment of time. But it's really, it's the goal, is the lifetime goal that I could not really achieve at some certain point. But anyway, like today, like we are on YouTube. Yes, this means we can just listen to the music also.
Right.
Yes.
Sure. So we take some breaks and play some music.
Yes.
Sounds good. That sounds
very
very good.
Yes, and just talking about the communications, and you just mentioned that everyone has the different style of communication and what type of style. Like, what do you consider yourself as a communicator? Like, do you talk straightly, or you just...
Wait, hold on. Talk straightly like, I don't like you.
I mean, it's just very honest. It's something that people want to hear.
Okay.
That what do you think? Like, when people, like, talk really honest about some certain thing, or you want people to lie for you to make you feel better about yourself?
Okay, so Monique, you first.
You first.
So I think it's really interesting because I am very straightforward, and I do tell people if I don't like them.
How do you just approach that?
That's a really good question, though. I think it's very different because obviously I'm not going and say like, "Hey, you suck," I'm not gonna. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
But it depends whom I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So, recently, I think that's a really great example. So recently, for example, there was a person that I was kind of forced to interact because I was serving as I helped with an event basically, right? And so I helped out there, and this person was very, very, very drunk. And this person would ask me consistently for my name and where I'm from. And also this person would come so close, like way too close, way, way, way too close, like right in my face, basically. And so there were 2 things that I've done. So in the beginning, I was still kind, and I would still tell my name and where I'm from. About 3 times.
3 times.
And then I changed it up, and then I just said like, well, I'm Giselle from Ukraine, or I'm like Victoria from Ecuador. And he would just forget about it. He would be like, oh wow, Ecuador, is close to my home. I'm like, that's exciting. And so obviously that was just for fun, and I wouldn't do this like if this person wasn't so drunk. But what I did then, when this person came so close, and he was also touching me like all the time, trying to just like hold me very close or get my attention somehow. So I would take his arms and put them down nicely, but I would just set my boundaries, and I would say, please don't touch me, and please take a step back. This is too close for me.
Right.
And so I would just make this very clear. And also I would take a step back. So we both had to take a step back. And whenever he came in, I would take a step back and remind him, please do not come so close. I'm not feeling comfortable. And I didn't say like, I don't like you, whatever, but I would just say very clearly, I don't like this. It's too close for me. I don't feel comfortable. And please take another step back. And it wasn't about the person. It was just I don't feel comfortable with very drunk people. It could be
Yeah.
even girls. I don't like girls being super drunk too. Like
Mhm.
they just fall around your neck and all those kind of
Yeah.
things. But what if they throw up? They throw up in my face.
Oh.
Like no thanks. You know.
So we
So-
we thought that you had, you told them straightforward that hey,
Mhm.
don't come too close, and that's a
Yeah.
good example too. Is there a reaction to that, because you're talking to someone that's intoxicated,
Yeah.
they're drunk, and then they don't know how to act. Like I wouldn't even know how to act. I probably would continue talking with you if that's the case.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Was there something that came
Mhm.
after?
Yeah, he did keep talking to me. He did try to keep touch with me. So what I did was I waited until he was quiet, and then I said like, "Could you please listen to me for a second?" And I was very serious, and he would try, and I was like, "Okay, if you don't listen, I would need to ask you to go back to your room right now."
Oh.
Well, it's because honestly, this can just be getting in a way
Mhm.
or taking a direction that I really don't like.
Right.
Especially between men and women sometimes, like if you're so intoxicated, you might as well not understand the concept of consent anymore or whatever it is. You just can step over boundaries whether you want it or not. Maybe it's not your intention, but it just happens to,
Mhm.
maybe you're overexcited, you want to share something. It's fine. He wasn't a bad person. He didn't do anything that I didn't want to, but also especially because I kept sticking to my
Yeah.
boundaries
Right.
and repeat them.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, and I understand that's not possible for everyone.
Mhm.
I think there are people, especially like maybe if you're very introverted or you're very shy or you have never learned how to set these boundaries or
Mhm.
say no.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also not a cultural thing, right?
Yeah.
This is also really important. If it's not in your culture to say no, I mean, for Germans, that's a thing. We do say no, and we say it very clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could think like for you, Bumi, probably it would be very hard to say no, because I do think in Thai culture that's not a thing, right?
Mhm.
You just, as far as I understand in Thai culture, you don't say no,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
believe that's a very
Yeah,
hard
so,
thing.
Like, gotta ask Bumi now that if she has experienced similar, with her experience. Have you ever been in that experience before, in situation?
Yeah, I mean, like with the culture stuff, I think is really, I agree with that. Like when I were younger than this, before I developed my self confidence, and then my all the skill, the martial arts skill.
Oh.
And I think when I were younger, I feel like I could not say no to people, and if the guys came to me and they
Mhm.
kind of like did some sexual harass,
Yeah,
I would say like
harass- sexual
touching is
harassment,
like sexual harassment.
Yeah,
Yes,
for
I
sure.
would. I would try to escape as much as possible. I keep quiet, or maybe I just walk away.
Yeah.
But since I kind of like learn how to defend for myself and training with the mindset also,
Yeah.
the verbal communication is very important, because
Okay.
we're talking about the communication
Mhm.
issue also. And as she mentioned, as Monique mentioned about like, she actually have the vocal defense
Mhm.
that, okay, this is what you cannot do, and
Right.
this is I warned you for the first time,
Uh-huh.
and then before that, and this is it's very basic, like of the self-defensiveness. Is like you communicate with them first that I don't like this, stop doing this, and look
Right.
at them at the eyes, because you really mean it.
Mhm.
And then later on, if they still come back, because most of the time you say like, don't move, don't step any one more like step,
Yeah.
เข้าใกล้มาอีกนะ
Mhm.
something like that. Otherwise, you will do this and that,
Yeah.
and just before it and after the vocal defense, and then is the physical.
Yeah.
But the best way is to walk away. Like
Uh-huh.
if I were in the situation that I had to deal with a drunken people, I would just escape. I first, because or don't communicate in terms of like have eye contact with them.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, they will say like, oh, this person allow me to talk to me. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to another person, and I think it's better to avoid the situation.
Mhm.
Like in the club, for example, if you were not, it were in the club, it's very loud. you don't have an opportunity to talk because it's the music
Yeah,
is
it's
too
the music.
loud.
Yes.
So that why the best way is just to walk away to the risky situation. That is my point of view, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So just let me
Mm-hmm.
clear off things because
But-
there's so
but
many
how-
topics. coming up.
How would you do with that? Like if the girl came to you, Peter,
That's not gonna happen. That never happened before too. I wouldn't
if the
count on
girl
that.
came to you and then start touching you,
Oh.
what
my
would you do,
goodness.
Peter?
I think I just know that that person is like wasted, like completely drunk. You know, it's like it's not gonna happen. There's no girls. That's the reality we live in today, right? The girls doesn't
Yes.
touch the guys, especially culture, like Monique said.
Uh-huh.
Thai girls are very conservative and also they're
Uh-huh.
self-protected, and
Uh-huh.
it's the image of every single girl as well. Like,
Yes.
why do you touch other guys? Do you know that's bad, right? Other guys
Uh-huh.
will think about this. But anyways,
Uh-huh.
you mentioned Bumi about being in that situation. So
Mhm.
because I know you like going to coffee. So no
Yes.
guys are getting intoxicated with caffeine. So you don't have to worry about that. You know, if they come to talk to you, it's
Mhm.
like they're sober. They're just like consciously there. So it's like, hey, how's it going? Are you drunk? Are you drunk?
He get tired of caffeine. Come on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not gonna say that going to the
Mhm.
clubs or
Mhm.
going to the pub is a bad thing because people
Mhm.
do it anyways.
Yes.
You know, it just depends on if they like it or not.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
You would know. How would you assess the situation? Both of you girls, by the way.
Yes.
If someone asks you to go to house party or to the pub, do you ask like how many people are there, or like you just go?
I just
Like, do you
say-
think?
say yes.
Do you think first?
No.
Do you think first? Okay, let's go ask Monique first. Do you think first, like, what's gonna happen with you? Do you think about it?
So I think to clarify what I said before, this was not in a pub or whatever. It was at an event that I helped with to organize, right? So it was a situation that I couldn't have possibly just take myself out of because I was responsible for these people as well,
Yeah, yeah.
in a way, right? So it was like, well, obviously I would have rather chosen to just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But in this moment, unfortunately, because they were part of this group that we were organizing this for, I had to stick around and solve the situation as gracefully as possible.
You're not off the hook, right? You gotta assess the situation
As
now.
polite as
yeah.
possible.
To your question though, there was a time in my life where I think I wasn't conscious about possible risks for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have just gone. Now, first of all, I don't go to any clubs anymore.
Mhm.
This time is over. I started going to parties when I was 13 in Germany that
Wow.
nobody knew.
Now,
Wow.
now all.
Now that it's 20 years
Everyone
back, I can
on
say that.
internet.
But the thing is, like, I've been in places that people would normally not hang out, I guess. So I have a wide range of experience.
Uh-huh.
But I also traveled solo as a woman for
Mhm.
for
Do we want to take that? We can take that. Hold on.
13
Yes,
years.
sure.
I
You
don't
wanna
know.
try?
The thing is, we can take it if I know how to. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it off because you're talking, so you can continue to talk.
So basically, what I do now is when someone invites me to a party or whatever,
Yeah.
I do ask what kind of people are there.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of alcohol and drugs involved?
Oh, you just went straight forward, like.
Yeah. Well, I'm German, so I'm not gonna beat around the bush for very long.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I do know that drugs is just a thing that is a common theme in the
Mhm.
society, unfortunately, as an escape for people, right?
Yeah.
I never took drugs. I choose to stay away from any kind of drug other than coffee.
Coffees are good then.
Yeah, and but the thing is, alcohol and cigarettes obviously is a drug too, right?
Yeah.
But we can go from A to knock yourself out,
Mhm.
right? So if I know the people and there is alcohol and drugs involved, I'm just gonna I literally gonna just lay out, is it worth it for me
Mm-hmm.
to take the negative impact that the alcohol and the drugs will have on these people
Mm-hmm.
against the me really want to see them
Mm-hmm.
and spend some time. So then what I do is I go as early as possible and
Mm-hmm.
stay an hour or two
Yep.
and leave as early as possible as well. Because
Okay.
I want to, like, don't get me wrong, I don't judge people who do drugs or take alcohol, whatever.
Right.
Like, it's like whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to be involved.
Okay.
And so I'm taking myself out of the equation
Mhm.
as much as possible. And so most of the times I say no. Just for my own peace of mind, to be honest. And I value my time and
Right.
my peacefulness, you know.
Mhm.
I do go to events where I highly value the people and the energy
Yeah.
around those
Yeah.
people, and I know there is no intoxication
Mm.
to be expected, and what I get from those people is more than what I basically have to give. Like, it's not sucking the energy
Yeah.
out of me, basically.
Right. Okay. So, Bumi, did you remember the question?
Yeah.
Okay,
just
so-
the house party. Say yes or no.
I'll be right
Just-
there.
Just depends on who asks me.
Yeah.
If it's a guy who asks me out, maybe I say yes.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. It's just
That was a hint.
I mean it just it just depends on how handsome he is. No,
That was a hint.
That was
Anyone
another one.
listening? Anyone listening? You know what that is?
no.
What's handsome?
Well, it's kind of like have a specific type of a guy that I like. Yes.
How does he
It's
look
Specific
like?
kind of
guy.
like have a very sharp jawline, very deep
Ah.
voice,
Mm.
something like that. But that's just like
Is it like an actor or something that looks like that and sounds like it? Yeah? Who is
pretty
it?
much like that.
Who is it?
No, I don't have.
Oh, okay.
I
No,
don't
he.
have a crush.
I think she just mean like what she thinks in her mind, like this type of guys.
Right,
That's what
right,
she
right.
meant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but yeah, I would.
We're taking
It
applications.
just depends on. Just get back to the questions. It just depends on what type of event. Maybe just similar to Monique as well. And then if the event that I want to meet those type of people, those group of people, I would say yes. But most of the time I say no because I don't like going out, and then
Mhm.
I don't really. I mean, if it's a party that have activities that I can talk,
Mhm.
if anyone that I know in the event, yeah, I would go. But if I go alone, and then just to satisfy my friend who
Mhm.
is the host, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I would rather like stay at home and read my books
Yeah.
and chatting with my friends
Uh-huh.
or YouTubing.
Okay, so like basically just saying like you know who's inviting you, and
Yeah.
once you kind of feel that it's not
Mhm.
just gonna be a party, like relaxation party,
Yeah.
you're just gonna forget it.
And-
I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, like most of the time I'll be asked like, do I know anyone there,
Mhm.
or if I know anyone whom I know in the party or not, and what
Yeah.
type of party.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't really think much about the violent or a dangerous situation because if most of the time I live in Chiang Mai, so it's
Yeah.
really peaceful.
Yeah, I don't think everyone thinks about that nowadays. You know, like we don't think about it until it happens.
Yes,
That's
yes,
how it
you
is.
don't really.
So to conclude, I mean, you
Mhm.
both have a really good conclusion already. Would you recommend for a person as a communication style to be assertive or it should be aggressive in terms? Like, what would you think for someone who's like listening now and they don't know what to do? Like, maybe it's like an experience because we all have experience. Well, you too,
Yeah.
but maybe not me because
You,
I'm very
you
spiritual.
Have. Everyone has something to say.
I'm very spiritual.
And then
okay. So Monique, so what would you say?
Yeah.
Give a recommendation to them.
I don't think there is a one size fit all, and that is for almost everything. You can't just go to someone and be like, "Hey, you should communicate more aggressive or more assertive,
Mhm.
or more, more managing your emotions or less or whatever." It's it. First of all, I do believe it depends on the person, and what you feel most comfortable with, you should choose first.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is like, whom are you speaking to and what situation is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it comes to business, I would always be more assertive.
Assertive, yeah.
Just because, like, if it comes to negotiations, whatever,
Yeah.
you gotta just take, like, especially for us women, we always be told, you know, you gotta take a seat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say, like, you gotta build your own damn table and take all of the seats around them and then decide who's gonna take, you know,
Yeah.
a seat at your table.
Okay.
So, but, like, aggressive, I don't think aggressive is gonna help you much in life anyways.
Yeah.
I certainly had a passive-aggressive communication style for many years in my life, and I can tell you there is not much good things that come out of it.
Yeah.
So I can't recommend that one. That's for sure. So I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. You
Okay.
wanna just choose what's most comfortable for you.
Yeah.
But in some situations, you might as well just have to step up a little bit.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
know.
That's what I meant. Like, so you have to choose too, and choosing. I mean, like, certain situation, please step up, right? And most situation, you can just be yourself, and you can always think better. Like, oh, should I get myself in that situation? What if I go to the party? What would happen? I mean, there's so many news now, right? Especially when you're in Thailand, the least country expected to have something happen, something bad happen to you, you know. And when something bad happened to you nowadays, people don't speak up. They just kind of keep it. They keep it inside them, like, oh, I'm not doing that again, you know. So if the whole world knows about it, maybe bad. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's like, okay, you're not going out, you know, as a parent, like, you're not going out. So, yeah, we all have to, I guess you can say, play with fire. I guess experience it yourself, you know, see how it works, right? Because sometimes if you just don't expose yourself into this situation, then you wouldn't know, kind of thing.
I think
Okay.
it's also the way how you speak up, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
there are different ways. You can just go and complain and blame someone and cry about it, or you can just be like taking responsibility for whatever it is that you're speaking up about and
Mhm.
offering solutions to it,
Yeah.
you know, or you can just like, which is obviously the better way,
Yeah.
or you can go and go fully into the extreme, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen, I think the best example for it is like the Me Too movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it started out, like how women would speak up was an extremely extraordinary example of what it means to portray what actually happens in this situations.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like turned around and twisted and made in this whole different stories and complaining whatever. And so like there was a whole side to it that wasn't the original movement, but it was made to, well, obviously to tear it down as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you understand what I mean, this like twisting and this portraying differently, and there's always like two sides, and there's always a way how you can speak up to only get validation or to get attention, for example,
Yeah.
or you can speak up to actually bring awareness to something,
Yeah.
and to maybe even in this case not only bring awareness but also maybe get some justification, or maybe get, you know, maybe to save someone
Mm.
from having these experiences too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
All right.
I also think like when you're talking about like assertive, yes, and aggressive,
Yeah.
it's more like is oftentimes I think is about evaluate the situation, that who are you talking with, and then the contents, the context that you're going to deliver to a receiver. Most of the time we would think like the great communication is with the right place, with the right time, with the right things, and also with the right intention. For example, like if you were in the situation, just for listeners, like if you were in the situation that is very risky, and then you have argument, for example, with a big guy, for example, and if you shout at him, that's I don't think that is a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you have to evaluate the situation, that if you communicate this way, what is the effect,
Yeah.
and if it's going to harm you, or if it's going to create benefit for other people.
Right.
For example, like if you have the assertive, it's mean like you're really confident with your verbal communication. For example, if you say yes, if you say like say no, if somebody asks you out for a party and you say like no, I don't want to go, it's mean like you're talking with honesty.
Yeah.
For the right contents that you want to deliver.
Yeah.
And you're talking, maybe your friend, maybe the guy who like you, the right person. So it's mean like you have power within you because you have you can make a decision, yes or no.
Yeah.
And in the same time, if you saying no, it's mean like if you don't like this person, it's going to create benefits for you, and then you just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the situation that you should say yes, but maybe for your boss, maybe it affect your career,
Yeah.
and thus and then you evaluate the situation that if you say no, it's not good for you. Maybe you have to sacrifice
Right,
yourself
right.
a little bit. This is for what I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for the first off. That was really
Yeah.
good, really good reply. We'll save the job thing for a little bit later on in the show. But I think this communication style is gonna go on all the show,
Yeah, I mean, like
right? Because
this
it's
is
so much
big
thing to
things.
cover. So we
Yeah.
just covered what's like kind of just standing up for yourself, in terms of going to party and what you should say and how to protect yourself. And these two lady here just gave us a good example already. Okay, so the next one, first we'll take a short break,
Yes.
play some songs for you. One song,
What do you have?
Iris, Goo Goo Dolls.
Google Doc.
Okay, is that good?
Okay.
No?
I have not heard this song before.
Yeah, I haven't heard for a while too, so I'm just
Yeah.
going all through all these classics because millennials need to learn about it, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
So when we get back, we will talk more about the communication style at work. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, with business wise, because you're gonna get very good examples coming up. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. Relax Time Radio.
And I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I could taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your light. And sooner or later it's over. I just don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, all the moment of truth in your lies. When everything feels like the movies, yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
Relax Time Radio 93.25 FM, playing the coolest music.
Hello, welcome back to the second part of Relax Time Radio Show, and that is Go Dolls. I have no idea.
Goo Goo Dolls.
I cannot really read from the
Goo Goo
the-
Dolls.
from
I'm sorry. I'm sorry
the
for me.
distance, because I don't wear glasses today.
You guys are hilarious.
But
You guys
that's
are
so
hilarious.
cute. You know what go-go dolls
What
are?
does it mean?
They're dancers in a nightclub.
That song fits quite well, by the way.
It is so cute. I'm like, oh.
It's like I just try to read from
Oh,
the
that's a good
distance.
song.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's coming up next. Okay. So
Yes.
Good.
I'm telling you,
For the
I'm
millennials.
educating the millennials.
Just waiting for that.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
that's my excuse.
Guys who are listening to like from the radio, from the YouTubes, or maybe from our we're not live streaming on Facebook today,
Yeah,
but on
yeah.
YouTube today, and so that way we can turn on music and we can enjoy
Having fun.
Yes, a lot more. And with today, with the great topics that we are talking about, we discuss more about their communication style
Yep.
that we cover already in different situations, and we go on the conversations with the style in talking in business. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So let's
Actually, I would like to ask our live viewers something. How about if they have any questions, they could leave it in the comments below.
Okay.
We should be able to see it, right?
Yeah, we should be able to for sure.
Okay. So if you have any questions about communication style, or if you have a certain situation where currently you don't know how to react or what to say, maybe just leave it in the comments so we can help you figure it out.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay,
Yes.
so we're interacting with you guys now. You know.
Just now.
Yeah, just now. just now we're getting onto it. Okay. Okay. So while you guys are thinking about that, we will get on to the next segment, which is the business now.
Mhm.
Okay. But you know, business they tend to what do you call it's bad and it's good at the same time. Depends on the seats you're sitting. For example, in a management,
Mhm.
okay, you need to learn how to speak to your employees. And in employees, you know, you usually most of the time, from my experience, I've always sit in the passive seat
Mhm.
and the nice guy seat. When the boss asks for something, he just, you know, it's like gradually taking advantage of you once you never say no. Yeah, it's all, you just like, hey, can you do this for me? Or the other coworkers like, can you do this for me? And then all this work are like getting onto you. You're like, damn, my desk is full of documents that I have to do. That person, this person, so I can't go home. Everyone else is like, I'm done. Okay, but it's just that this is how I feel. I'm better than you guys. I'm gonna do this one because I'm perfect. You know, things like that. But when I think about it, it's like, why are they giving me all this, you know, work? But I can't just say no to that. Like, hey, you should do your own. You know, it's just something about that. That was before, by the way. You know, I got out of that. And same thing with your boss. You ever work with all? I don't think I've never worked with any boss who are nice. Never, ever, in my life. All the boss are just like having a chain, a whip, feeling like that, and they just torture your heart. You keep torturing your feeling.
Ooh.
Keep going, right? And then you can't hold it anymore. It's like a Pepsi that's about to explode. And once that happened, I resigned. Yes. That's how I feel. But what do you guys think about it in terms of being, let's start out with the employees, okay? And you have the boss who is an asshole. Yes, I just said that out loud.
Yeah, thanks. I don't see on the videos.
All right, Monique, you up first.
So first of all, I think so I have been on both sides, and I'm on the. Okay, let me start again. I've been on both sides, right? On the employee side, and on the leadership side. And I'm calling it leadership because there are two different. It's a very specific distinction between being a boss and being a leader. And being a boss is exactly what you said. You have employees and you literally just use them to slave for yourself, right? But I never considered myself being a boss. I always, and I think I was really lucky that when I entered this management area, this leadership level, let's say, if we go Super Mario style, it's a level. I was really, really lucky because I was only 22 years old and I got a team of 160 people. And it was for a huge IT company worldwide where we served 25,000 people.
Yep.
And so my leader by this time, he wasn't the boss, he was actually a leader, and he was fantastic. And I was literally lucky, I must say, because just as you, I didn't have anyone else following up afterwards, and I worked in plenty of different companies who could be on his level. What he did was, first of all, he was empowering me to be independent, make my own decisions, develop my own leadership style, and to make the decisions and then stand up for them, right? And take responsibility.
Right.
He also encouraged me to be strong as a leader. That means really leaders create more leaders, right? It's not that you have employees that work for you. No. As a leader, you work for your employees.
Yeah.
And so if they don't feel good, if they don't love coming to work, or at least love their job and love the environment and feel appreciated, as you say, they will resign, or they will get mentally ill, or maybe they will get physically sick or whatever, right? And this is just like it's like a loop that will repeat itself.
Yeah.
So and I was super lucky that when I started out to have this leader, and I appreciate him every single day, because all I learned in the beginning to be a leader was this, right?
Yeah.
And so I went through all the up and downs. I had to fire 40 people in one day by the age of 23, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But man, did I have to put my big girl's pants on and just do it and be the nicest and kindest person ever, and give them advice how to maybe find another job or whatever, like just be a leader and not just be like, okay, thanks, that's it, bye.
Yeah.
But also be a human. So this is just a distinction. So what was the question? I think that's going to be an insider here for me to talk so much.
That was the answer already, because we're talking about in business wise, and you're talking about being the leader of a lot. There's a book that a friend of mine who's Vietnamese, okay, he told me about the three kings, the three kingdoms in China. They would say that the employees are the one that you have to be nice to in order to build those, like a base, okay? And the base for a company is really important. If you don't have a base, then you continue. It's like getting someone to constantly making your base, and it's being destroyed, and you're getting someone else. It's like firing someone that they're, you don't look at them that way. You look at them like, oh, they suck. Okay, let's get them out, and then we'll get another one. Or like, you don't, getting someone is like, there's a word for that. I'm trying to think. Okay, it's like trying to convince someone to come work for you. It's for like the actual job and not for money, because they're just there for the money. If you're just being an asshole, for example, you know, like, oh, what are you here for? Why do you want to work for us? For the money, of course, you know. Like, and it's just so hard to find someone who come into the company and be like, look, I'm gonna go from today, right now, and I'm gonna be at this position. You know, you tell your boss that, oh, is that why in the interview? It's like, is that what you want to do? Well, I want this guy to work for me. You know, everyone's like that. But then once they find out that people are just being unfair, the boss being unfair to you, perhaps you made a small mistake. Instead of saying like, oh, you shouldn't make that mistake, I'm gonna cut your salary off. What happened after? Then you're like, I don't want to work here for someone who cut my salary. You know, I want someone to teach me. I'm like half glass half full. You know, tell me how to get better. You know, things like that. Don't expect me to do everything like good at the same time. You know, like I can't ask you to be coming over here and be like, okay, you're gonna sound control. I don't want it done today. Maybe you can. You know, maybe you can, but I assume that you might need more time to work on it too. So I totally agree with you. You have to talk to your employees. You have to, you know, see what's good and what's bad, you know, but you can't just expect everybody to be Superman, you know. I mean, if everyone's Superman, then what do we need company for then? You know, everyone's
Nobody to save.
Yeah, exactly.
Superman doesn't have any job anymore,
Yeah.
job anymore if everyone becomes a Superman. And just to mention about the book, I think it's called The Romance of Three Kingdoms.
That's it.
And it's called Sam Gok in
Thai.
actually is the novel that based with the history
Yeah.
back from China. And then they said that if you read this book for 3 times, you're not a person that you should be friend with because you know all the techniques. I think this is a great book for to deal with people with the communications, because they have the 3 kingdoms and each kingdom has a different leader, and the leader has a different style of maintain their own kingdom. Like for Kong Beng, for example, like for it's just like different one that they focus on the techniques. Joshua is more like he wanted to hire Guan Wu because Guan Wu pay respect to another team, for example, another kingdom, for example, and they're just trying to steal the manpower from each other. But just to mention about the communication skill of the manager that you just mentioned at the beginning, Peter, and I just feel like as a manager, I was a manager before, and I think it was a really tough position to have in a company, because you have to communicate with the boss and you have to fulfill the goal of, you have to, how to say, like, fulfill the goal of the company, and in the same time you don't want to be harassed or to be violence to your employee, because you have to work with and you are in the middle.
You're in the middle.
Like you have to please both sides,
Right.
and it's very pleasure. Like I had a lot of pressure in terms of communication. But for the parts of the employee, at the first time we have to really study the culture of the company first, like if you are the right person for them or not. Maybe at the beginning you didn't know, and you try and you worked for a while, and then you can figure out like if you would love to stay or leave, And as Gan, because we invited Gan last time, and Gan actually he owned a digital design company for Marvel, and he just mentioned that he just like, if this person doesn't really fit with my company, he just fire the person, because he doesn't want a person with the leadership skill, because his work is more like he has to control in the same theme, and if a person think differently, and then it will make more difficult for him to work. But in the same time, in some company, they want to hire talent people to solve the problems, and that's where the leadership skill are needed in that company. So before make a decision, just make a decision that you have to understand yourself first, like which culture would you like to live with, and then what skill that you need for the job requirement for
That is a really good answer.
Yes.
I like that.
I think different things coming together, right? So what you mentioned in the beginning, Peter, I think it's a lot about expectations and boundaries again, right?
Yep.
So if you are, for example, new in a company, or maybe you change your position, or even if you're in a position and the boss comes to you and asks you consistently to take over more work, and then your colleagues see that you say yes a lot, and then they come, then obviously you have no expectations set and no boundaries for yourself. And boundaries, I think we need them everywhere in our lives.
Yeah.
And this is a way of communication too, but especially expectations. So, for example, when I have been in the same position like you as a manager or leader, right? It depends. So I had like the CEO of this whole tech company above me, and he wanted me to cut even more employees from the team, and I said no. Like, sure, can I automate more and I can make the team even more efficient, but we are not here to cut people off. We are here to serve your 25,000 people out there even more, right? And I'm not going to cut even more people off the team, because if we want to do this with like connection, then I can't automate it more, right? So, but it's a way of setting expectations and then having the right, maybe not arguments, but having the right value proposition for whomever you speak to explain your expectations, and then set the boundaries that you need to keep them up there, right? So that's one thing. And what you said about this digital marketing or digital design company, I totally understand that if someone doesn't fit into the company culture, it's actually better to remove them.
Yeah.
But you can prevent this whole thing in the hiring process.
Yeah.
If
Sure.
you already have the company culture, and that's why it's so important to exactly know who you are, what your company culture would be. You're totally right, Bumi. But you need to do this before you even hire people, especially in the leadership levels, right? May it be managers, may it be country account managers, whatever it is, right? Whatever level. The really important thing is that you don't hire for a skill, but you hire for the characteristics and their soft skills, for example, and look into whether or not this person fits into your company culture. Because if someone comes in and wants to flip over the whole company from inside out, obviously that makes a lot of trouble, right? And it just is going to be a pain in the
ass. I said it for you, okay? There you go.
I'd say it, but I'm not sure how much I'm able to swear here, so I'm going slowly.
We go very far.
Oh, we go far, right? We go far.
Okay, great. So, but this is the thing, right? So, and I think those three things are really, really important. So if you don't set any expectations, right? If you don't set your boundaries straight, could be both as the manager, as the owner, as the founder, of the leader, and the employee.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be just run over, really.
Yeah.
Like, and even from colleagues. Why do you think you had all these documents on the table? Because they could just bring it, and you would say, okay, all right,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
And so there were no boundaries, and obviously there was nothing that they had to just stop and be like, oh, Peter's actually not the one who should be doing it, right? Because
There's
you
no
were.
boundary. Yeah.
For them.
They're sticking at me
Because
for a
you say
reason.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't say no. How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you allow them to do.
Right. So, just a quick pause here. You had a question. This is from the live chat. Okay. We have Karen saying hi to everybody. It's like, I love you guys. You guys having great discussion. Always wonderful to relax with this radio show. Okay. Next one here. If you could, actually, well,
I miss Karina.
I'm gonna say this question, and then I'm gonna cut into music, and when we get back, we'll answer your question, Mr. Smith. If you could both go back in time and meet yourself when you're 16 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, that's a big question. we cut to the music.
I would be
coming
so.
back.
Anyways, we'll cut to music first, and then when we come back, we'll be talking about this
16.
question. All right?
What did I do there?
Oh, I know exactly. And it's not good.
Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
Relax Time Radio.
Well, I just heard the news today. It seems my life is gonna change. I close my eyes, begin to pray, then tears of joy stream down my face. With arms wide open under the sunlight. Welcome to this place. I'll show you everything. With arms wide open. With arms wide open. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to be the man I have to be. I'll take a breath, I'll take her by my side. We're standing on, we've created life. With arms wide open under the sunlight. Welcome to this place. I'll show you everything. With arms wide open. Now everything has changed. I'll show you now. I'll show you everything. With arms wide open. With arms wide open. I'll show you everything. Oh yeah. With arms wide open. Wide open. If I had just one wish, only one demand, I hope he's not like me. I hope he understands that he can take his life and hold it by the hand, and he can free with arms wide open, with arms wide open. Under the sunlight, welcome to this place. I'll show you everything. With arms wide open, now everything has changed. I'll show you now. I'll show you everything. With arms wide open. With arms wide open. I'll show you everything. Oh yeah. With arms wide open. Wide open.
Relax Time Radio. 93.25 FM. Playing the coolest music.
Back to the Relax Time Radio. And I was very, I am not relaxing at the moment because of the question. That question. Come on.
She's so tense now. Like that question's gonna haunt me until tomorrow morning. Okay, so just refreshing you guys' memory. So if you could, the question is from Mr. Smith. If you could go back in time and meet yourself when you were 16 years old, what advice would you give yourself? First off, isn't that like quantum physics? You can't just go up back and talk to yourself. But that's the story. But let's say it happens, okay?
Well, you can.
What
but
advice?
I think why don't we start with you, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, can you reply what we should start with you?
Miss Smith, and then
Mr.
there is Mr. Peter first.
So we're gonna start with you, Mrs. Smith, and then we're gonna go on like this rotation of a clock, which is first up Monique. You're ready for this. You're always ready.
How did I know I'm gonna start? Okay, so I'm not sure if it has to do with communication style a lot, but I would tell myself I think 3 different things. So the first thing is don't listen to anyone else. Like everything you need to know is already inside of you. Okay.
It's true.
So
You just unleashed it.
already that you need to know is already inside of you. Everything that you need to know is already inside of you. So the best thing is just to sometimes, and I know the right person saying it because I talk a lot, but sometimes you just gotta shut up and listen
Right.
what's inside. The next thing is you gotta fully love yourself and stand in your own power. Shine as bright as you can. And if everyone else around is gonna be blinded by the light, well, so be it. And don't ever dim your freaking light. Never fucking ever.
I like that.
Ever.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Ever.
And the last?
And the last thing. The last thing is, I mean, my granddad told me that when I was 5. And he said, Monique, whatever and whomever you want to be, you can just be it.
Right. Okay. So really similar. Okay. What about you, Bumi? You're up now, huh? Are you gonna be okay?
I'm still 16.
She's still 16, ladies and gentlemen.
My friend,
You're asking some weird question here.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, because age is not. I think age is about experience. But anyway, like, if I could be 16 again, what would I do for my life? I would say, like, I just discussed with Monique at the beginning that I could not really remember my friend's name when I were young. So I think when I were 15, 16, I focused much more on education. And I kind of like a bookworm and then very introvert and studying really hard. But I involved with a lot of activities. But what I do is I want to create and connect with my friends even more.
Right.
And with my parents, because I feel like I grew up and I kind of like waste my time spending time with my family.
Right.
And for me, the only one thing that I would want to change is just like how to connect with people. Because nowadays when I grow up, I just feel like when people have like the reunion at school, you know, like they have friends, they have story from, you
Right.
know, when he were young, something like that. But
Yeah.
I didn't have some sort of that, how to say, like information in my brain.
Right.
So I just feel like it's a strong connection that's built from when you were young, really meaningful at the moment.
Yeah.
Because nowadays I have really less friends. And I just feel like people train, like nowadays, like I am trained that, you're supposed to have less friends to be successful, but actually not. When I grow up, I just feel like actually good relationship, and no matter what, how big or small of the number it is, it's actually make me feel happy. If I would change, I mean, like if I would 16 again, I create meaningful relationship. Yeah.
But that's 16 though.
Whoa, I didn't really know that.
That's like
but
16 years old.
16, I was too focused. I was focused on studying already because
Yeah.
I want to achieve my goal. I change school quite often, so that why I don't have time to bond with anyone deeply. So that why I kind of like I always have distance, and I just feel like keeping distance sometimes is good, but sometimes it means like you eliminate many chance and many opportunity in life also. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need my answer, right?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm waiting for this moment.
So like You know, what I told you about the quantum physics and everything.
Yes.
If I actually had a time machine to go back and tell
Mhm.
myself how to be successful,
Mhm.
then it would never happen. First off, right?
Mhm.
And I wouldn't tell myself. I mean, I'd like to go back and look at myself,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't tell myself anything because
Mhm.
if I do tell, this Peter is not gonna be here.
Ew.
Really, this Peter is not
Yeah.
gonna be here because I want that person to just go through all the experience that I just went through. Okay,
Mhm.
screwed up with friends. Why do you even have friends? You know, like if I know that to have successful friends,
Mhm.
then you know, hey,
You're
you need to
keeping
get
tabs.
yourself in that position first to have successful friend.
Mhm.
You know, if starting with no money at all,
Mhm.
then you're classified as a poor person to a lot of people, especially when you're trying to step up to someone who's already successful. You know, they're just like, hey, who are you? You know,
Mhm.
and you try to get into that position, and you know all the money that's saving, and you're like, damn, I gotta spend much to get into that position. No, it's not
Mhm.
gonna happen like that. You know,
Mhm.
those are mistakes, but then you learn it after.
Mhm.
Because if I just tell you, hey, don't spend any money, and my 16-year would be like, but how would I feel? Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like a punch in the face. You gotta feel it for yourself. It's playing with fire. And
Mhm.
another thing is, we're talking about friends. Another thing is, I like having friends, but now
Mhm.
I don't like having friends. I like being alone. But before that, it's like I gotta have friends. I gotta have friends, and then friends who are good to you, and friend who take benefits from you, and friend who just backstabs you. You know, you learn all that.
Friend with benefit.
Yeah, and like Monique said before too, you kind of see the energy level
Mhm.
that your friends bringing to you.
Mhm.
Sometimes they just suck you dry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just like, I know when someone's gonna come suck me dry. I shut that off and,
Yeah.
and move on.
That's
you
true.
know. And lastly, in terms of working and not being able to say no, okay, that was like way back. And to me, as a graduate from high school, if you look at most of the Thai students, okay, they graduated and then they went into university.
Mhm.
Maybe some went on the military, right?
Ah.
I don't know, right?
On 20.
Or become a monk, or you know, things like that.
Mhm.
I think you have to experience it for yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't get it until something's tragic happened to you, or you know, you suffer that consequences.
Mhm.
Which I mean, I could sit here and talk to you about the past experience, even with my brother. You know, you know what? I'm just gonna say it right now. It's a really short story.
Okay.
So my brother, older brother, okay, and this was when I was 19. He was 20 years old. Okay, he went and bought a sport car, and then
Mhm.
he figured that he asked the guy. He's like, "Why are you selling it?" And the guy said, "Because I lost my license. The car is too fast." Okay, and he's like, "What? That doesn't make sense." Okay, I'll buy it. So he bought the car, and yeah, it's fast. Okay, but you have speed limit in the Western countries.
Mhm.
Okay, you have speed limit. If it says 60, you gotta go 60. Okay, what's the point of having a fast car when you have speed limit? You know, he didn't know about that before,
Mhm.
and he decided to, you know what? You're right. I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna sell the car.
Mhm.
Okay, so the day that he was supposed to meet a buyer, he's gonna go wash the car. Okay, and it happens so fast. He saw this other car. It's a sport car as well, and they wanted to race him.
Mhm.
So he's like, "Why not? It's my last day," and that was a mistake. Okay, so he just booked it, and he lost control when a lot of 360s, and then the car split in half, like on the island. Okay, nothing happened to him.
Oh,
Nothing happened.
okay.
He was just sitting there on the cockpit, just kind of like, what just
Okay.
happened?
Uh-huh.
When the police came, they couldn't believe. You know, he was on the front page news. Like, that's a miracle. How did you not die from that or anything? But that consequences will haunt him forever. You know what? He had to stay and pay off all that car
Oh.
by himself. Okay,
Oh.
no insurance gonna cover for that. So that was his consequences. Always has been about money. You know.
Yes.
And if I tell him right now, it's like, hey, let's say you did sell the car, what would happen to you? Nothing. He would be still an asshole. Or I could say like a jackass.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying, you know, bad thing about my brother.
Yeah.
But I just
Yeah. I just heard.
smack you right there. Right?
Yes. But anyway, like, thank you for the question. I think this is a good question though, like, because it's talking about the communication style, but actually, our question is like this, like, what would you do when you were like 16, or the question about the dream, the goal, the success, the definition of anything that you think is actually help you to get to know the person better.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very deep level as well. And then there's so many questions that you can ask another person.
Right.
But actually, to have a question like this, you can actually connect and know another person very quick, and then you can
Yeah.
have sympathy.
Yeah.
But in the same time, I mean, like, when I first hear this question and I just answer that, I feel like I'm 16 still. It's mean like I thought of I would like to borrow the Buddha talk, and he just said like the past is already gone and the future is not yet to come. So that's why we have to focus on the present time, and then we can learn from the past to build up our future from our present time.
Yep.
And then you can foresee the future. And I think, yeah, I think that, thank you for the questions again, but I just feel like sometime I don't want to get back to that point. But if the moment that I feel really happy, I would love to, I would love to repeat it again. But
Yeah.
for the moment that you don't want to remember, maybe just don't think about that often. So because it's gonna keep your mind positive most of the time. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I mean, with all this talk, I thought it was only 20 minutes ago. Now it's like an hour. Cause we're here until 9 p.m. That's
God.
already 12 minutes
Yes.
left on the show. Yeah, I guess we'll spend the next 5 minutes saying goodbye. How about that?
Yes.
But we will continue this topic
I think
in the future.
this topic is really interesting. We can go on and on
Yeah.
and on. Actually,
For sure.
we have different topics to cover, like how to communicate well and why we, and the intention of the communication. I think is the most important thing, is just to understand each other more.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not just to, because I just listen to the talk and it's just like people speak. While you are speaking, you stop the source of your ears, like, so you don't really listen to other
Yeah.
people, and then you have a conversation just to want to respond to another person,
Yeah,
but
sure.
don't really try to understand another person.
Yeah.
This is a topic that most of people discuss about. Yes. Do you have anything to add before we leaving?
Oh, she has a lot.
She
I
has
can
a
see
lot
her
for
mind's like
sure.
overflowing over here. I can see her ideas are like coming over here.
I think for today, that's it.
That's it. Okay, that's good. That's good. So just want to add a little bit more, to all the millennials. I know it's like it's a big thing now. Like I've been looking at these millennial restaurant and also coffee shops. Me, I always, I like to go by myself because my ideas are just popping in, and then I get to actually write down in a book, in a journal, and also focus more on my next project. But I've seen a lot of people who come in, and then they're just, as a couple coming in together, and they're just facing down and typing stuff. Like, wow.
They talk to each other through
Through the
through application.
Through the application. So what are we getting tonight? Yeah. But
Can you see another guy next to our
yeah,
tables?
yeah. So I didn't have that before. Before it's always, I mean, you guys probably experienced the same thing. Your friend called you and said, "Hey, let's grab some coffee." You knew right then, or let's go to the pub or something. You knew then that there was something that he or she would need to express or consult you about. But it's not over the phone because phone bills is quite expensive. And that was a sign for us too. So I've always enjoyed philosophy ever since I was young, right? I just like going to a coffee shop and just listen to my friend's problem. And that is how I actually developed myself into, like learning. Like Bumi mentioned about, she's taking all the Buddha's enlightenment and just saying like you have to live in the present. But you can always learn from other people, just like the wise old owl. He's like looking, he's focusing on this person's problem. Oh, that would happen, Yeah. So one person said that, why would you listen to a monk? He has never experienced it before. But if you have this clear conscious mind, then you know how he feel. Like you just picture it. If I take money from, or if I take an item from this store, what would happen. No, you know about it. But if you're like intoxicated or you don't have any conscience, and you need that, you take it and you go. That's your belief. There's no problem up with that. You believe, what you believe is basically what you will learn from it. The consequences that comes to it after. You know, people. I've been to jail. Come on, I've been to jail, so I know, right? I know.
What did you do?
There's nothing for me to talk about to my 16 years old. I just let him develop it to it, until now. Anyways, I have 2 songs here before we say goodbye. I just want to let you guys know, thank you for joining. We're, every Wednesday, always come in, join us. If you are looking to, want to call, you can always call. I actually wanted to put him on speaker, as in like, we all can hear it, but you pick up the phone. I was looking for where that thing is.
Yes, it's okay. Just a mistake.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
They call and yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
but if somebody call nowadays, I think is a great valuable things that people can do nowadays, because most of the time the communication is on the screen, and
Sure.
sometimes you cannot really communicate cannot really deliver your real emotion, and that could create more conflict. And I still convinced people, like especially when you have a really really important conversation, please talk face to face, or just give another person a call. That would be
Right.
really good way to solve all the problems.
Exactly.
And I hope that the communication is to bring peace in your life, and
Yes.
it's supposed to be useful. And we're going to end with 2 songs that Peter are preparing for us
Right.
with Monique today, and thank you very much for
Yeah.
joining
Thank you so
in.
much.
Yes.
Next week, same
Yes.
crew, and also we have a guest who's gonna be talking about coffee.
Woo!
Yeah, and Boomy loves coffee. I love coffee too. We're gonna throw him all this question, and he's gonna be like, "I'm leaving."
He can come and bring coffee.
All right.
and we can talk like nonstop.
Yeah, we can talk about nonstop too. Wish we had like a 2-hour show. Continuing the podcast later. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Have a
Yes.
good night. Bye.
Bye bye.
Relax Time Radio.
All day, staring at the ceiling, making friends with shadows on my wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep, because tomorrow might be good for something. Hold on, feeling like I'm headed for a breakdown, and I don't know why. But I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be me, and talking to myself in public, and dodging glances on the train. And I know they've all been talking about me. I can hear them whisper, and it makes me think there must be something wrong with me. Out of all the hours thinking, somehow I've lost my mind. But I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be. myself. But stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be. Yeah, how I used to be. How I used to be. Well, I'm just a little lonely. How I used to be. How I used to be.
Let's relax.
It's time to relax.
Relax Time Radio.